Hello and welcome. I am Lawrence Kavinga and I am going to take you through a lesson called MBC analysis, also called Pareto analysis. This is another inventory control technique. Welcome to this session and enjoy yourself. An Italian statistician by the name Pareto discovered a common statistical effect that about 20% of the population in a country own about 80% of the wealth. We can also say 20% of employees in an organization cause 80% of the problems. Also, we can say 20% of stock in an organization account for about 80% of the organization's expenditure. This is what we call Pareto analysis or MBC analysis, and our main concern is inventory control. You can see that last statement whereby we are saying 20% of stock in an organization account for about 80% of the organization's expenditure. This is what has been referred to as Pareto analysis. This can be applied to MBC analysis, where Class A items constitute about 20% of the organization's inventory and represent 80% of the value of investments, whereas Class B and C constitute about 80% of the organization's inventory and represent only 20% of the value of the investment. You can see what we mean by this Pareto analysis, MBC analysis. 20% of our materials give us 80% of the revenue. That means 80% of the materials in the warehouse give us 20% of the value. So as procurement officers, as storekeepers, we need to know what is the critical items and what are the less critical items. Let us continue discussing this concept. An organization will buy many different items in the course of its trading period. Among these items are a number of routine requirements that do not account for the majority of the items and that represent a larger proportion of the organization's expenditure. These are the items that are so important in the organization budgets, and care should be taken when choosing a supplier that gives good value. In MB analysis, these items are known as Class A items. They require a close day-to-day control because of their budgetary importance. This is what we are calling MBC analysis, and we are saying we go to our warehouse and divide our materials into three categories: category A, B, and C. We say category A, these are the critical and crucial items. Remember, we say 20% of these items, their value is 80%, value and expenditure of the organization. Go to a supermarket. All the materials in that supermarket, 20%, only 20% of the items give us a value of 80%. This is what we are calling the Class A items, the critical items. They are very important in the organization budgets, and care should be taken when choosing a supplier for these items. Without these items, the company will not make money. The company will make losses. And we should do a day-to-day close control because of their budgetary importance. Then we have another class, what we call Class C. Class C items, these are rarely required. Class C items are rarely required and their value is very small. They cost less. When it comes to budgeting, their budget is a very few shillings. And these items are rarely needed and asked by the customers, but nonetheless we need them. This is what we call C items, the non-critical items. Non-critical items, and they do not need a lot of management attention. The management attention does not need to spend a lot of time and effort on these items. They require less frequent purchase. These items are less frequently purchased by our customers. They have no economic importance. They account for a small proportion of the organization expenditure. They also account for a larger proportion of inventory in the warehouse. Yes, these items are so many, but their value is very small. Their value and expenditure and budgeting. That is what we call class C items. Then we have class B. Class B items, these are the materials that fall in between class A and B. Hapo katikati, we have class B items. We see that any item that is intermediate between class A and class C is put in class B. Class B items should be regularly reviewed, but not as closely controlled as class A items. They are very important to our budget as well as income, but they are not as important as class A. So that is what we call Pareto analysis, class A, B, C. In our warehouse we have category of materials A, B, and C. We should concentrate on category A little bit on category B, and less on category C. That is what we call Pareto analysis. Let us look at an example for this. You can see that example on the screen. We have category A, 20% of the materials, their value is 80%. That percent of the materials, that is category B, their value is 15%. Category C, 50% of the materials, their value is 5%. You can see, class A, we should have close data control of class A. Class B, regular review. Class C, infrequent review. You can see, class A is the most critical items. We can, as an organization, we will never survive without class A. But we need B and C to support the organization products offering. Yes, we cannot ignore them. We still need them. So this is what we call the MBC analysis. And we have seen how we can use it to manage materials in our organization. As a storekeeper, have a daily control of category A items, then regularly on B and C. You can afford to ignore C, but as a storekeeper, if you do the opposite, if you concentrate on C and B and forget A, the organization will suffer. And that is how we use MBC analysis to manage materials in our warehouse. An organization will buy many different items in the course of its trading period. Among these items are a number of routine requirements that do not account for the majority of the items and that represent a larger proportion of the organization's expenditure. These are the items that are so important in the organization budgets, and care should be taken when choosing a supplier that gives good value. In MBC analysis, these items are known as class A items, and they require a close day-to-day control because of their budgetary importance. So you can see, as an organization, we should concentrate on class A items, and that is when we are going to achieve success as an organization. That was what we called MBC analysis. You have seen how it helps us to categorize our materials into various categories so that we can concentrate on the most important items, which are category A, then in B and C. And this is how we use this method to control and manage materials in our warehouses. Thank you for taking your time to watch this lesson. If you need any further guidance, contact me. I have my contact details on the screen. And lastly, please subscribe to my channel and go to the YouTube and subscribe to my channel. Thank you again for your valuable time and effort.